Hello and welcome back to Shelf Center. This is Bryce. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing. If this is something you end up enjoying, you never know, it could happen. Well, we've got our monthly update for February and then our TBR for the month of March. A February update. Let's jump into what I read, my stats on that. Video-wise, it was very poor, but we're trying to get back into it, okay? So we're getting in there. But February update, let's jump into it. First off, I got 3 books read, which is lower than my average, but one of them was this behemoth, so I don't feel too bad. Last month, I was able to get 5 books read and a portion into this. This is like 12 books or something. I don't know, 10 books. Maybe it's more accurate. But at least like 4, right? But anyway, it's all arbitrary anyway, right? But Goodreads does say that I am exactly as of February, I was exactly on track for my 50 books for the year. I did kind of pull that back from last year's 52 books, which I got 53 in, just because I knew I was going to read, for instance, Wind and Truth. But anyway, so there's 3. I've got 8 total for the year so far. Not bad so far, and I am hoping to still beat the 50. We'll see. But anyway, Wind and Truth. You know what? It starts out a bit rough. I'll be honest. I already felt like I'm already in in Rhythm of War. I already felt like there's probably a couple hundred extra pages that didn't need to necessarily be in there. I do feel like it's like Sanderson committed to these huge books, and then we're gonna always get them. Sometimes just because of that commitment, and they don't always need to be that way, but I could be wrong. It's kind of felt like, okay, we can pull this back a little bit. Anyway, there's a lot of lore, there's lots of stuff, so it is good stuff too. But the first bit, it's a little bit of a slog. I hate to start mentioning slog when it comes to Sanderson. He did finish The Wheel of Time, which is known for its epic slog of about 4 books. These tend to have kind of some sluggish parts, I've found, but not the whole thing. I will say, so there's kind of this mixed review right now going on with Sanderson, but I will say I ended up really enjoying it by the end. So I'm not a hater. I'm not a Stormlight hater. I actually really enjoyed the ending. I thought it was well done, so I still gave it a pretty healthy star rating. I think I'm in the 7 to 8. It's definitely, I think I liked it more than Rhythm of War. I don't know. That first half to 2/3, it's slow going, I have to admit. Like, it's a bit of a slog. So maybe this is my least favorite in the series. I'm still trying to figure this out. I got to do a dedicated review on it, but it was still good. It is one of my favorite covers. The spine really pops out on a shelf too. But anyway, it's really cool. Michael Whelan, obviously. I do have to say, I'm not a hater. I get some of the hate. I get, I'm definitely part of a religious community, and so I understood some of those issues. I do like that Sanderson kind of gave a good blog post explaining some of his feelings. I'll be honest, I feel like, didn't we all kind of think Adolin was gay? So I don't really understand a lot of the hate that Sanderson's suddenly getting. I thought it was already in the books, and anyway. Anyone else, let me know. I'm very much for people are allowed to feel how they want to feel about their books, especially about their politics. You're allowed to have them. I feel like what we've lost as a country in the U.S. is the ability to still be friends and still talk to each other, because we could all use each other's perspectives. We could use more perspectives, in fact, instead of our echo chamber. Overall, I don't want to go into. There's just so many spoilers you can go into in a book 5, especially of a series. I am like, you're gonna leave us like this for the next 7 years. I do understand where it can do that, and it does make sense, but I hope all these thoughts and make any kind of sense. I'm trying again not to get too deeply into spoilers, which I guess by what I said about Adolin already is a big spoiler. But again, I just felt like it was already part of the Stormlight archive. How are people surprised at this point? I don't know. There's a lot of speculation on the internet, right? All right, accidentally grabbed the wrong book. It is The Fellowship. I did read The Fellowship. This is still, I keep saying this, I know, but my favorite. Literal, it's a movie cover. I usually hate them, but this is a movie cover that actually works, and I love it. It's beautiful. It even has the movie cover stuff on the back, but love it. Love the movies. I read this. We're trying to plan when we can actually do a discussion. It's going to be with Murphy Napier, Overly Average Ben, and Grace Dion, and so that'll be fun. I really enjoy discussing books with them. This one will be interesting. I guess I don't really know where everyone stands. I just kind of this is like the standard of fantasy for me, so I've now read this one 4 times, and I loved it each time. Like it's literally like going home now, and it's just as magical. It's just as wonderful, and I still go, oh, that's when they meet Tom Bombadil? I always forget that for some reason when that happens. But it is magic every single time, and I love it. All right, and then the last book I read, again, unless you count, this is the 3rd book, but the last book, unless you count, Wind and Truth as a couple books, which I think is fair. But I read The Fragment of Water, and this is by Ben Hale, and it's The Shattered Soul, #1. This one's a cool one. There's there's always that discussion of high fantasy, low fantasy. There's lots of magic, less magic. There's epic. There's smaller. There's this one kind of touches on a couple things, but definitely lots and lots of magic, and I like that. Sometimes you just need that a lot of good magic going on. This is cool. It's an interesting kind of setup. It's right from the beginning, we kind of have this because you don't really know exactly what's going on, but this big thing happened, and right away you've got this immortal being that shatters its soul. It's the Shattered Soul trilogy into 5 pieces, and so you've got. Let me see if I can remember. This is going to be a bad test. Water, obviously. This one's called Fragment of Water. Fire, water, light, shadow, mind. I think so. Was that it? Am I adding fire for no reason? Anyway, I'll have to correct myself. See, but it was really. It's a cool concept. It's an indie book, so definitely a nice one to support. It's a well-told tale, really fun. I want to continue on with, and definitely this was a challenge from months ago now. So I apologize from Library on Legs, Cinna, and so I appreciate the challenge there. It was really fun. Just a good kind of refreshing take on some magic, and so it was really cool. All right, let's get into my March TBR or MBR. I'm kind of feeling a mood read coming on, but anyway, we'll see. First things first, anyway, this is my only copy of any dungeon crawler, so it gets pulled in now that I'm on book 5, because I don't have the rest, but I do have them on audiobook, and so I've been trying to just not go through them. I start to enjoy books less and less if I read too many in a row, and I think I'm the only one. I'm weird this way. I don't know what my problem is, but I think it was the Wheel of Time that kind of killed it in me, where I just felt like when I was really deep into it, I just started feeling oh my gosh, I'm missing out on so many other things. There were so many other books, and again, when you're going, I'm 5 books into 14 books, that's crazy. Although at the time I didn't know how many. All I knew it was 11 books when I was first reading it. But still, that's okay, I'm barely into this huge series, and it feels like it just overtakes your life. But so I always have found I just enjoy series more if I just take some breaks. So I've been trying to do DCC, Dungeon Crawler Carl, 1 a month, and that's been doing well for me. So I don't go too much, which I could. I don't know. These are just so much fun. So the Butcher's Masquerade, I've already started it because that's how I do, and it's excellent. It's always just somehow you would think that I'd be tired of this. It's still pretty much mostly the same, but it's still apparently all I want in the whole world. And so it's the same fun. This world is crazy, and you just see this leveling up and all that. And it's just a blast. It's so much fun. The humor's great, but also, from so many angles. So it's so much fun. All right, this one I just kind of randomly started because it was on my bedside table. So, uh, The Extraordinary Disappointments of Leopold Berry, or Larry Berry. So I'm about a little over halfway. Just go this way. A little over halfway, so we're getting there. And it's been fun. I couldn't resist. I mean, look at this as a child of the 80s and 90s. Like, I mean, how cool is this VHS tape book that I could not resist even buying? It's by the author of the peculiar, what is it? Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children novels. So I couldn't resist. It's been good so far. It's not like my favorite ever, but it's been good and it's been entertaining, and I've been definitely sucked in and pulled along on this. It's a fun little story. So, Sunderworld, a kid who has terrible disappointments. Mostly, he's disappointing his father, as many of us do, and he and so it kind of starts there. Life's terrible for this teenager, and then but he's obsessed with this thing called Sunderworld, and I don't want to go into more, but it's cool. You can imagine what could happen from there. But anyway, it's not. Anyway, it's definitely not exactly how you would like. There's some things where you're like, oh, that was a different way that took. So anyway, very cool. I am kind of keeping on my list Age of War, Michael J. Sullivan, the Legends of the First Empire series. I got 2 books into the 6 books, and so I want to keep going there. So Age of War is definitely on there to just kind of throw in so I don't, again, wait too long. This is my problem. I wait, and then suddenly I've waited too long, and now I got to reread, and that's just, it's like, it's too many steps back there. And this is one that I realized I have on both audio and in physical form, and I'm like, why haven't I read this? I'm so sorry. I don't know. I love staring at this book on my shelf. It looks so cool. It pops. The Bloodstones, Tori Tekken, fellow booktuber. So I am so sorry, but I was like, oh my gosh, why have I not been reading this? So is now back on my list. Somehow it fell off, even though I stare at it pretty much every day. It's in my office, and I see how cool it is. But anyway, definitely want to read this. Heard great things, and there's some great author quotes on the back from people that I really like. So, or reviewer quotes. So anyway, I need to read this already. Speaking of books, I need to catch or get finally up to speed on. This is one I probably don't need to have read it before the series comes out, but the last Murderbot book, it probably wouldn't hurt to have read it. It's, if anything, a good time to jump onto it. But I'm very excited for the Apple TV Plus show with Skarsgård as I think he's the Murderbot. I don't know what else he would play. Murderbot's kind of a big thing. But anyway, System Collapse. I cannot wait. I love the series. It's so much fun. I also just needed to mood read, so this is like throwing a bunch of stuff on here. But sometimes I'm like, I gotta get on the list, so eventually I'm like, all right, I cannot talk about this book one more time without having read it. So I finally then read it. But this is another one. I've been needing some Robert Jackson Bennett in my life, and this is a short one, so I figured Vigilance might be a good way to jump in. Back in, I guess I should say. I like his imagination and his writing, but sometimes I just can't commit to a whole series where I'm already in the middle of like so many. So I'm trying to relax that a little bit, but you never know what the mood read will strike. Suddenly I'm reading Sunderworld, and that's first book in a series, so here we are. But I don't know if I'll continue that one. We'll see. You got to kind of prioritize at one point. So anyway, what are you thinking? What should I prioritize? I know some of you out there you did not mention John Gwynn, and that has got to come next month. I'm thinking I could just mood read it though. So Valor, I think, is the next one in the Faithful and the Fallen, and I really definitely need to put that up higher on my list. So definitely that is, again, been throwing that around here, and maybe some more. So anyway, thanks so much for stopping by. We're trying to get back on track here, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.